Live pictures on your screens at this point in time. Let's take a look. In fact, I'm going to try and go across to Anaga. If Anaga can hear me at this point in time and give us a sense of what's going on, because we do see a lot of crowd right at the hotel of Piyush Goyal. At the end of the day, we have these political parties joining the NDA camp and a lot of these differences and problems getting ironed out. But the big story we are tracking at this hour is that AMMK head TTV Dhinakaran is now joining the NDA camp just months after he parted ways and also had vowed never to in fact join the NDA. Now clearly, evidently, no permanent friends and no permanent enemies in politics. Right, so at the end, okay, I'm now also going to go across to my colleague Akshita Nandgopal, getting in more details on that story. Akshita, just ahead of the Prime Minister's visit campaign on the 23rd, which is the day after tomorrow, this is the big development. Now, in effect, we see the NDA becoming larger perception-wise. Also, it sends out a message that there is unity and that the NDA really is battle-ready, isn't it?
This is exactly what Home Minister Amit Shah 2 weeks ago, when he visited Tamil Nadu, had spoken of, Sneha, that the BJP would do everything they can to bring together a larger NDA, because the BJP, the AIADMK do recognize that for them to stand a chance against the DMK, they're going to have to essentially ensure it's DMK versus the rest, which is why they're bringing everyone together. As far as the AMMK goes, why is this a big deal that they're joining hands with the NDA? Effectively, with them being out of the NDA, there would have been a vote cutter factor. So this is essentially consolidation that you're looking at. The AMMK also looks at their vote base largely as the Tevar community, strong in parts of southern Tamil Nadu. This is the vote bank of the AIADMK as well. Tevars are known to have been very, very loyal to the AIADMK. So there was always that threat of the Tevar community being split right down the middle, that many of them would choose to go with the AMMK and some percentage with the AIADMK. What this now does with the AMMK joining hands with the NDA is that it consolidates that very, very crucial Tevar community vote, which is in a way essential for the AIADMK to ensure strong performance and therefore for the NDA as well. Now, the big question that also comes up here is what's changed? We know of, the solid relations between EPS and TTV Dhinakaran, between EPS and Sashikala. What's changed right now, especially because of the OPS factor too? Does this mean that the doors are open for OPS to also be a part of the alliance? The answer is no. For TTV Dhinakaran, the situation is very, very different, because what you're looking at is a different party here. They started the AMMK. He speaks of Amma's rule being taken forward, which is a similar message as the AIADMK. And if he's agreed to join the NDA, the message is very clear that he is willing to accept the leadership of EPS, which is why even in the statement that you see that Dhinakaran has put out, he speaks of Amma's rule progressing, hinting that the reason he's okay with an EPS is because their idea of and the number of commonalities that they have, whether it's the AIADMK or the AMMK, is a lot. And it's perhaps on those common ground that they've managed, that the BJP has managed to kind of ensure that he's brought on board as well. But there's no doubt that he will have to go ahead and concede rather publicly that they're willing to work under the leadership of EPS. That no doubt was one of the big conditions the AIADMK would have put forth. And if TTB hadn't agreed to that, this moment would not be possible, where he's joining hands with this alliance, where he's a part of the NDA. And as we get all of these live images right now of TTV Dhinakaran making his way inside, going to meet with Piyush Goyal. Piyush Goyal essentially is an emissary of sorts. On Friday, when you have Prime Minister Modi in Tamil Nadu, he's going to be on the outskirts of Chennai, and what's going to be touted as a huge NDA show of strength. This will be one of the big headline moments, because along with Prime Minister Modi, you'll have Edappadi Palaniswami, you'll have Anbumani Ramados, you will have a TTV Dhinakaran as well. So that perhaps will be the first time we'll see the two leaders sharing the stage. There'll be a lot of talk about the kind of messaging, the kind of body language involved. But the reason TTV Dhinakaran is able to make it through and OPS isn't is because first, OPS, O Panneerselvam, doesn't have a party of his own. And second, there's been a whole lot of bad blood between O Panneerselvam and Edappadi Palaniswami. So for OPS, he said it's a no-go. There's no question of me accepting EPS as my leader. There's also, of course, a lot of this talk about OPS a few months ago meeting with Chief Minister Stalin, and so speculation on whether he's going to be joining hands with the DMK. So that seems to be a foregone conclusion that there's no way OPS is going to be a part of the NDA. But this, no doubt, is a big boost for the NDA. The fact that TTV Dhinakaran has joined in, not because the AMMK is this huge, powerful, influential party, but just because you're removing that much of a vote-cutting factor. Besides, there's this talk that in the next 24 hours, the other big party that could be joining the NDA ranks is DMDK, Vijayakant's party. And so there is talks currently with Premalata Vijayakant, with the son as well. They're all in talks right now to figure out how the DMDK can also be brought on board. So they're essentially envisioning, like I said earlier, Sneha, a larger NDA, trying to make it DMK versus the rest. Of course, the question mark continues to loom on what happens to TVK.
That you say that, Akshita, I'm just going to come back to you.